Our group developed a web application called HabitTracker, which was designed with the purpose of helping its users become the people they want to be. Our team consisted of 4 members. Each of us held different skills, so we decided our roles based upon those. I'm Allison Offer. I developed the front end of this application and also held the role of product owner. I acted as the representative from a wellness company who hired this team for the job. My main focus was to represent the interests of the wellness company throughout the development process. Campbell Robertson also developed front end and held the role of Scrum Master. She led the team during each sprint as the facilitator. The software development team had Matthew Graves and Justin Henkelman. They developed the entirety of the backend and database and delivered completed functional tasks to the product owner. Phase 1, which was project development. Our problem statement. It is essential that we create good habits to have a more productive and fulfilling life. Creating these habits is easy, but keeping track of them and being consistent is the real challenge. Habit tracking presents visual proof of all of the hard work and progress you have done while you are in the process of implementing specific habits into your lifestyle. Establishing habits into your everyday routine provides you with the ability to free up brain power, allowing for better decision making regarding the more important tasks of life. Our goal is to create an environment that is easy to use with a simple and minimal design that allows our users to create, track, manage, and complete any desired habits they might have, while also emphasizing the visualization of our users' progress by displaying statistics such as their active streak that can give them motivation to continue being consistent each day. The goals of our habit tracking website are to create systems that allow users to seamlessly create and manage habits, view their progress, and keep track of habits. Also, provide users with a platform that will hold them accountable in forming healthy habits they want to create. It will be a place for users to feel satisfied when they complete a task they aim to do, in hopes that the feeling of accomplishment will bring them closer to doing the task every day. The functional requirements includes user roles. HabitTracker has the established user role of user. The user should be able to create, delete, and manage their account, create and delete their habits, view a checklist to check off what habits were accomplished on specific days each week, view metrics of each habit, which includes consistency, their active streak, and total days completed for their habit, and manage their habits if they were want to edit any field like name, description, importance, or category. The non-functional requirements include security and usability. For security, users must be able to securely log into the system to prevent any malicious or fraudulent activity. For usability, users should be able to access their accounts from any device that has an internet connection and a compatible web browser with correct systems installed. Our target environment is users should be able to log in and access the service on any and all devices that have internet connection, along with a web browser that supports HTML5, CSS3, and JavaScript ES5. The tools and technology we used for front end are React, JavaScript, Material UI, MUI, and VS Code. The tools and technologies we used for backend are Node, Express, and Mongoose. We used MongoDB for our database. For the design, we used React and MUI. For collaboration purposes, we used Discord to communicate with each other about our tasks and any issues we encountered that needed to be answered immediately. We used Google Drive to share documents, and we used GitHub for our code repository. We chose to utilize the process model of Scrum for many reasons. First, Scrum is an incremental system of software development that focuses on sprints or iterative builds, which allowed our team to develop and test each feature of the project. Secondly, sprints allowed us to assign certain tasks and create a concrete timeline so that our team remained accountable and on track. Lastly, Scrum focuses heavily on delivering a frequent model of working product features to the customer. The customer works closely with the group to provide feedback and guide the development. We thought we could mimic this process as if the HabitTracker was the idea of a wellness company who hired us to build their website. Through our risk analysis, we identified potential risks. A potential risk that we identified was the acquisition of new technologies. We saw this as a risk because we thought that there may be members who are not conversant with the specific technologies that we planned on employing. They would have to learn how to utilize these tools in order to complete the project. We assign this at the priority level 3 because the time that will be spent by team members to learn the new technologies could take away effort being put into our application. To help ensure that effort from each team member was directed at the progress of the project instead of issues that involve learning new technologies, we held weekly meetings to address concerns or issues that a member could have surrounding the technology that we were using. Another potential risk that we identified was the difference of technical expertise among team members. We saw this as a risk because we thought some team members may not be as technically advanced in specific areas regarding the project. This could have led to deadlines not being met or lack of effort. We assigned this at the priority level 2 and monitored it throughout the project by assigning tasks in weekly meetings only to the appropriate member who had the right skill level to take on the responsibility of the job. And that's regarding front end and back end. The last risk we identified was a difference in compatible availability. The many obligations and responsibilities that each member holds outside the realm of this project may get in the way of finding available times to meet. This could have led to the failure of accomplishing tasks on time or there being a lack of effort. We assigned this at the priority level of 4 and monitored it by setting up weekly meetings that were assigned to a specific day and time that each group member had already agreed to be at prior to the day of.
Okay, so I will be talking about phase 2 of our project, which is requirements analysis. Here we have our use case diagram. We have 2 actors, the user and the database, and 6 use cases: add habit, delete habit, edit habit, check off habit, view habit metrics, and edit profile. Moving into our fully dressed use cases. For the next upcoming slides, we have all of our fully dressed cases on here, but I will be specifically taking you through our main success scenario, since everything is more or less the same in the same regards. Anyways, so for our main success scenario, for add habit, we have the user logging into HabitTracker, and there will be a menu that is displayed, and the user will go to the habits page. And in the habits page, the system has an add habit button. The user will click that, and the system will display a new page with all of the fields that are necessary to create a habit, being name, category, importance, and all of that. And the user will fill it out and click the save button, and the system will store that habit, and it's added to the checklist of their habits on the main homepage. Next up, delete habit. Again, signing in, instead of going to the habits page, we will go to the manage habits page, and the system will pull up this page, which has an edit button next to a list of all of the habits that the user has on their profile, and the user will click that edit button, and then the edit page is pulled up, so it will be comprised of all of the fields that were already created, automatically filled in, and then the user can go in and alter whatever field they want. Oh, excuse me, we're deleting the habit. The user will not alter. We will go ahead and just click the delete page at the end of the page, and the system will remove it from the metrics in the checklist. This one is our edit habit. So we'll go again to manage page and click edit, and it will pull up with all of those fields automatically filled in, and the user can alter any field they want, and then save it at the bottom of the page. And the system will save those updates to the database. Check off habit can be done right when the user logs into the account. So right on the home page is the checklist of all their habits they need to complete, as well as days, and the checkboxes are underneath those days. And so the user will check off whatever habit they completed under the date they completed it. And then the system will save that response and add it to the metrics and keep that check mark on the checklist for that day. The view habit metrics portion of it will be the user signs in to the habit tracker and navigates to the manage habits page. Instead of going to the edit button, there will be a statistics button also next to each habit, which the user will click on, and then the system will pull up a page of the information, of the metric information, which will include their current streak of how long they've done a habit for in a consecutive amount of days. And then it will also be their consistency. So within the past 30 days or month, how often they have actually completed that habit. And edit profile. This one, the user will sign in and go to the profile page. And just like with the edit habit, there will be all of the fields that are needed to create a profile or on this page, and they are all automatically filled in. And so the user will click into the field and change how they wish, and then save it at the bottom of the page, and the system will update that account and be able to tie that edited account with the habits and metrics that are already on that old account. And that is all of our use cases. And then going into our domain class diagram, we have 4 classes: user, profile, metrics, and habit. And there will only be 1 user and 1 profile for each login, I guess. But they will have many habits and many metrics with that. So the user can create and modify the habits, and the profile stores the metrics. And then the user also can edit the profile, the user views metrics, and then with that, the habits generate the metrics.
This is Justin Henkelman. I will be going over phase 3, which was sequence and design case diagrams. To start, all of our routes start off with the login SSD, which is basically just users entering their username and password, and then our system using decryption and encryption with bcrypt to then display the account. From here, we have add habit. So once a user logs in, they go to the add habit page and add any habits that they wish to add, which include category, importance, name, and then from there, you can add as many habits as you want, and it'll keep updating your checklist and adding them and creating a metric associated with that habit. From here, we have delete habit, which to start, you do the same thing, log in, and then you'll go to your manage habits page, which you can then click on whichever habit you would wish to edit, click on the edit button. From here, if you click the trash can icon, it will delete it from the database and remove the metrics associated with it and remove it from your calendar. Next, we have edit habit, which same kind of process as the last one. You get into the edit page, make any edits you want, hit save, and it will save it to the database. You can keep hitting save and changing as you go, and it will display the same stuff, and you can keep editing. Next, we have check off habit, which this you start by going to the habit homepage, which at the habit homepage you'll see all of your different habits you're tracking and the checkboxes for the current week and the next week of the habit, so the 7 days previous and the 7 days next. You can check off whichever habits you'd like to complete, mark as complete, and it will mark in the back end, which it will update all the metrics, which There's various metrics. We'll get into them in the demo. Next, we have View Habit Metrics, which you go to the Manage Habit page where the Edit button is, and then from there, you will click on Statistics, and it will bring up the statistics for the habit, the metrics, and also a random quote, which is pretty fun. Next, we have Edit Profile, which you go to the View Profile page, make your changes, and then from there, it will save it to the database. Similar, very similar to making changes to habits. Finally, we have the design class diagram. I'm not going to go ahead and read every function here because that would take quite a while. Plus, we use the Mongo Express React Node stack, so a lot of these functions aren't the exact names, and this work doesn't really describe how our system acts entirely because we use React on the front end to load things in from the back end, and it's not quite looking like this necessarily, but same ideas, and it does the same functionality.
Hello, my name is Matt, and I will be talking about Phase 4, the testing phase. For our testing, we decided to go with Jest, a JavaScript library that allows us to test our Node and React codes. For our first test in the suite, we decided to test our user login. To do this, we pass in a request object with a body, and in the body we have two fields for name and password. On the left here we have our success case where the user is in our database. If the user is found, then it will return a object containing a message, a user, and a name. The user is the user ID, the name is our username, and the message will be login successful. For the failure case, in this case we passed in a fake password and fake username that will not be in the database. If this does happen, then we will return a message that says login failed as well as an error message. For our second test, we decided to test user creation. In this, we will also pass a request object containing a body with the name, email, and password of the user. This is then written to the database, and if it is successful, then we will return an object containing that username and that email. And then in the failure case, we decided to exclude some fields that are required by us to create a user. So now we're only passing in the name, and this will return an object containing an error, and it will say failed to create user. For our final use case, the habit creation add habit, we will be sending in another request object in a post request. It will still contain a body, but in this instance, it will contain a name, a description, a category, importance, and then the date. We also additionally require a cookies field. This has a authentication token so that the habit can be tied to the user. Once this data has been passed to the backend, then we will create the habit, and if the habit has been successfully created, then we will return an object containing the fields from the habit. And now we will begin our demo. If we switch over to the site here, we are going to be greeted by our login page. For our home page, We have the option to sign in if we already have an account created, or we have the option to create an account. Right now I will create a new account just for the purposes of this demo. We are greeted by the sign up page, which requires a username and email and a password. For this, I will just type demo. Email will go demo@gmail.com. For our password, we will just put in demo, and we will hit our create account button to create the account. Then we were prompted to sign in, so demo, and then demo. Password. We sign in. We are brought to our home page. Right now it's pretty blank, but that is just because we do not have any habits added to this new user. So if we go to the habits tab, we have the option to create a new habit. For this, I will just put eat. Name. Description is eat food. And for our categories, this would be under health, and importance is pretty critical. We also have options for other types of habits that you may want to keep track of for your health and well-being. And once we have all this information filled out, we will hit save the habit. I will also create another habit called drink. For description, we'll put drink water. This is going to be under well-being, and this is almost critical. We will save this habit as well. And then once we go back to our home page, you can see that both habits are being displayed, with drink and eat being the names of the habits that I just created. We also now can check off these habits by the date. We only display 2 weeks from the current date for as far as checking off habits. So let me just check off a few. So this one, the 18th, and then the 19th, as well as one on the 23rd over here. Now, if we go to our Manage Habits page, we can also see that both habits are displayed, and we will hit the Edit button on the right-hand side. It will pull up all the information about our habit. Right now, we will change this to exercise and change this to high just to showcase our edit feature. Drinks water, and then drinks. Now from here we can either save this habit or we can delete it. Right now I'm just going to save it. And then if we go back to our tracking habits page, our home page, we can see that the name has been edited and the dates all stay the same. So we do not have to change that. Now I'll go back to this page, and instead of editing a habit, I will test our delete button. Once the habit is deleted, it returns us back to our Manage Habits page. And if we go back to the home page, we'll see that the habit has been properly deleted. Now from here, we can go to our profile page. Our profile page includes our username, our password, and our user email. Right now I will be changing our password to demos and changing our password to demo user. I will be saving it, and then once it is saved, I will hit log out to test this. So we have our new account as demo user, and I believe I set the password at demos. The new authentication worked. We still see our current habits on the home page. And now I'll go back to the profile page, and I will test out the delete functionality. So I'm going to delete this demo account. It will redirect me back to the sign-in page as the account no longer exists. And then user for the username. and demos for the password. Since this account no longer exists, we will get the message that the login has failed.
Now I will be going over the demo for the habit tracking and statistics page. If you would like to view this account, just use the username demo and password test. To start off, I've already created some habits. You'll see that I added cleanup, workout, and floss. You'll notice that you can mark off habits that are in the future. So say I'm pretty confident I'm going to floss for the next week. I fill them out and the database will reflect that in statistics. And we also have workout, which say you wanted to work out a couple days a week. You put it in and you can see on the statistics page your consistency with that for the past month. And you also have cleanup, which is a little more sporadic. And there's statistics for streaks, so you can see the streak for all of them. So you would notice if you looked at cleanup that the streak is looking pretty rough, and for floss it's looking really good with high consistency, and the workout is pretty decent consistency, but maybe not as much as floss. Since you've done it for like 2 weeks total out of the last 30 days, it's gonna be half almost. Cleanup, you would expect your consistency to be 30% since there's 3 days completed. You'll notice I can uncheck cleanup, refresh, still be unchecked, add that back, and it all is reflected in the database when you uncheck these. So let's start and show off a metric. So let's look at floss. We can see that we have a 2-week streak going, and we have 46.7% consistency, which is exactly what we'd expect. We're just shy of 15 days, so we don't quite have the 50%. You'll also notice on this page that we have this random quote generator, which is pretty awesome. You can click new quote and get different inspiring quotes for your habit. Okay, so let's create a new habit to show this off. Habits. Add a habit, and demo habit with description, demo category, we'll just call it financial importance high. Save it, view our home page. Here we have our demo habit, which we just created, so we'll mark it as done. The statistics, we'll see we have a streak of 1, a really low consistency because over the last 30 days we haven't really done it at all, and the total days completed is only 1. Now let's beef it up a little. Let's say we did it the last 2 days before, so we'll have a 3-day streak and a little bit more sporadic, so 5 out of 30 days. Five out of 30 days, we get exactly what we would expect, which is 1/6 of the days out of the last 30, and we have a 3-day streak. That will be all for this demo. Now we're back at the slideshow, and we have our references. For references, we use the Applying UML and Patterns textbook from the class, the Design Patterns, Express Methods. We use Fundamentals of Software Engineering. We had MUI overview, the MUI documentation, Node.js, object-oriented software engineering. We used React Quick Start to learn more about React. We had software engineering, a practicer's approach, software engineering modern approaches, and welcome to MongoDB documentation. That will be all.